all. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you. Let us start. So I think you can see my slides. So today we are going to start a new chapter. It is passive components, and mostly we'll concentrate on two different types of passive devices. One is power divider and the second one is coupler. Other than this, we can have phase shifter, filters, time delay network. Some of them we discussed in the beginning. Now let's see in details how the power dividers and couplers are designed at microwave frequencies using the properties of transmission line. So it is in chapter 7, DM Pojar's book. Now, as I said, using the properties of transmission line, so that means we'll consider all the guiding structures which can support TEM mode of wave propagation. So when we go for implementation, then we have to choose such type of guiding structures like microstrip line, coplanar waveguide, coplanar strip line, coaxial cables, and so on. Well, so this is the block diagram of a power divider. It's a simple power divider. P1 is the input port or the input feed port, and input power, it is now divided into two parts and available at the output ports P2 and P3. Let's say a fraction alpha multiplied by P1 that is available at port P2. Then if I consider it's a lossless network, then at port P3 it is 1 minus alpha into P1. Well, this is a 1:2 power divider. Now, if we want equal power division, then alpha it is equal to 0.5, and we know already from S parameter analysis it's a 3-port network. Then port 1 to port 2, so S21 or S31, that should be 3 dB down or minus 3 dB, right? Now, since it is a passive network, and if we don't incorporate any non-reciprocal device like ferrites inside this network, then it is a reciprocal network. So that means the same power divider we can use as a power combiner. We don't have to go for a separate design. So in that case, we have two input ports, port P2 and P3, and the sum of these two powers, it is available at the output port P1, considering lossless network. Well, so then we'll be assuming that always it is a lossless network, and we can then use the network analysis, whatever we learn in that chapter here also. Now, usually for power dividers, the phase at the output ports, they are in same phase, or phase difference is 0. What do I mean by phase difference is 0? Let us consider the power divider, left side figure. Then angle of S21 minus angle of S31, that is equal to 0. It is true for all the power dividers or power combiners. Now, instead of two output ports, we can have n number of output ports. So in fact, if we can design this basic 3-port power divider, so from this, then we can design a power divider with n number of output ports. So you can combine many of them. You can connect one more 3-port device at port P2. Then altogether you have 3 output ports. If you connect one more 3-port network at port 3, then it becomes 4 output ports, and so on. Well, so any number of output port is possible. So then among all this, the basic one is the 3-port power divider. Now, what is coupler? So for the couplers, as we'll see, it looks like a power divider, but we have to maintain a given phase relationship. So some standard values are 90 degree and 180 degree. So what do I mean by this standard 180 or 90 degree value? That means angle of S21 minus angle of S31, that should be equal to either 90 degree or 180 degree. Arbitrary phase also possible. In fact, we have a paper on how to design arbitrary coupling, arbitrary phase coupler. Well, so with this, then let's see first where are the applications where we can use them. Sorry. So this left side figure, it shows a 6-port receiver. So it terms something new to you. In your communication class, you have learned about different receiver architecture like super heterodyne receiver, homodyne receiver. So in all those receivers, we use a mixer for either down conversion or for up conversion in frequency scale. So this 6-port network, it's a completely passive network, and here we don't use any active components inside the module. And what is the advantage? For active components, you know that with aging or with temperature variation, your bias point can change. That means Q point will change. So if quiescent point changes, then its characteristics will change. So we need to calibrate it continuously whenever you are going to operate. Even for your smartphone also, so it with some given time interval, it always calibrates itself, its own system. So since for 6-port receiver, we are not using any active components, and so this frequent calibration may not be required. Well, and it also will be cheaper, linear, and other things. So we are not going into details about 6-port network. So let's see actually what we will use inside a 6-port network. So inside a 6-port network, we have this left square, you see, a 3dp power divider. And in addition to that, we have 3 couplers. These are called branch line couplers. We learned in this chapter what is this branch line coupler. So it provides, for a conventional branch line coupler, it provides equal power division at the output with a phase difference of 90 degree. So this is one example of a receiving architecture which is based on completely passive components like power divider and couplers. Right side, this circuit is the front end of a synthetic aperture radar. So in 1980s, most probably it was designed by NASA, SIR-C, and it was sent to map the surface of Venus. Okay, it was for the first time. So if you look here, this top part, it is actually array antennas. Okay, better let me go to full screen view. So this top part, these are array antennas, and after that we have a transmit receive module, and below that we have phase shifter, then many power dividers with different power splitting ratio. Okay, so the first one, for example, it is 2.1:1. Then the second one here, 1:1, equal power splitting. So it is required by these antenna array structures. to reduce side globe levels. Okay, so we need to maintain some amplitude distribution over the array elements. Anyway, so what we see that in practical system, then it is one of the essential components and we can't avoid it. Similar, the same thing is true for filter as well. So in all the circuits, we have to use filter to reject any undesired radiation which is coming in or coming out from your circuit. Filter is also one of the most essential passive components in any RF system. Well, so we'll continue with the S parameter analysis. Then let us first discuss about some basic properties of a three-port network in general. As I said that we will be considering it's a lossless network, so ideal analysis basically. Now, if we have a three-port network in general, then the scattering matrix, its order is 3 by 3. As you can see, we can write it like this. Now, if we don't have any anisotropic material inside the structure, then it will be reciprocal, and learn the properties of reciprocal network. S12 is equal to S21, S13 is equal to 31, and so on, right? So in general, Sij is equal to Sji. What that means? So from port 1 to port 2, that the transmission coefficient is equal to, if I fit now from right hand side, port 2 to port 1, same. Well, now in addition to this, we need from practical point of view that all the ports should be matched to my system impedance, which is Z0. Now, if that is the criteria, that means we don't want any reflection from any of the ports. So magnitude of S11 should be equal to 0 for port 2, magnitude of S22 should be 0, and so on, right? But just next, we'll see that it is impossible to construct such a three-port lossless reciprocal network that is matched at all the ports. It is impossible theoretically. How? Okay, let us use that relationship, unitary properties we learned, which came from energy conservation. So you remember that energy conservation, we considered that whatever power we are getting, a part is transmitted to output port for a two-port network, and the remaining part is reflected back towards source, right, from energy conservation. And from that, we derived some relationships. So what is that? There were two sets of conditions. One set for each and every column. If we multiply each element with the same column element, then their addition should be equal to 1. So for the first column, then first element is 0, remaining is 1, 2, and 1, 3. So magnitude of S12 squared plus S13 squared should be equal to 1. Same thing is true for the second column and third column, as you can see here. Now, what about the second condition? Sorry. We can multiply two columns, but for one column we have to consider the complex conjugate, and their sum should be equal to 0. So let us do it for the first and second column. So first element is 0, so I don't have any term here. But the second element is S12 multiplied by 0 again. So again, we don't have a second term, only one term is remaining. S13 multiplied by S23 star. So here, actually in DM project, just hit it from opposite direction. So S13 star into S23 should be equal to 0. Similarly, you do between second and third column. So here only we have one term, S12 into S13 star, and first and third, it is S12 into S23 star. So individually they should be 0. Now you see, from this, if I now look at this set of equation, it is impossible to satisfy this equation. You see, because from the second set, we see that at least two of them among S1, 2, 1, 3 and 2, 3, at least two of them must be 0. So if at least two of them is 0, if I put it here, then we can't use it as a power divider. You consider, let's say S1, 2 is 0 and S1, 3 is 0. So then it is equal, it should be equal to 1. So it is not satisfying. So from theoretical analysis, we see that it is not possible at all. So this matrix we can't obtain under the condition, but under the condition that it is a lossless network and reciprocal network. So under that condition, it is impossible to obtain this S parameter. Well, so what is the conclusion from that? Let us then relax our assumption. First one, let's say any masked lossless three-port network we are considering, but inside it can be non-reciprocal. Okay, so we are first relaxing one of the assumptions, that let it be lossless, but inside we are using some sort of anisotrope. If that is the case, then this first relationship, it does not hold, and we can't use S12 is equal to S21, S13 is equal to S31, and so on. Well, so let's see then, is it possible or not? But we are keeping that condition that it is masked at all the ports. So magnitude of S11, magnitude of S22, magnitude of S33, that is equal to 0. So now let's see, S1 to 21 we are keeping it separate, 31, 13, 23, 32, because now we assume that it is non-reciprocal. Now let us apply that condition again. So basically the same set of condition I'm repeating here. So from this, now what we see here, you see, then S12, so we may have actually two different sets of solutions. In one case, S12, 23, 31 should be 0. And if that is true, then from this, S21 is equal to S32 equal to S13 equal to 1. Or the second set, S21, 32, 130. And if that is true, then 1, 2, 2, 3 and 3, 1 individually they are equal to 1. So what that means, how the component will look like. So if I consider the first set, first condition is valid, then S21, so port 1 to port 2, whatever I will be fitting at port 1, that will reach port 2 because its value is equal to 1. Whatever I will be fitting to port 2, it should reach port 3. Whatever I fit at port 3, it should reach port 1. So you see, it looks like power can flow only in one direction, not the backward direction. And for the second example, it is in the backward direction, not in the front direction. So this device is called circulator. So power, it looks like it is circling inside the three-port network. It is called a circulator. So we use circulator has also uses, particularly in a transceiver system. Okay, I'm coming to that point later. So I'm rewriting the condition once more here. Then in the S matrix form, the solution is either this, only 3 elements are 1, or this, again 3 elements are 1, but considering 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, or you choose the direction according to your port notation. So in the first case, we see power, it can travel in anti-clockwise direction, and in the second one, it is in clockwise direction. So that means if I feed at port 1, whole power will appear at port 2. If I feed at port 2, whole power appear at port 3 and so on. So where it is used, let's say you are designing a transceiver. So you have both the transmitter section and the receiver section in one single receiver. Now you are forced to use only one single antenna for both transmitting and receiving. So if I do that by using conventional way, then if I just you consider a transmitter and a receiver, both are connected to antenna. So then a part of transmitted power will come to receiver. They should be isolated. So we don't want that. Now, if I want full duplex communication, that means when the transmitter is on, receiver is also on. So we can use there a circulator. How? So that transmitted power only it can go to antenna, but from antenna it can come to only receiver. So there then I can use a circulator, right? So it will then transmit from a transmitter to antenna and antenna to receiver, not to transmitter, not back to transmitter. So there we can use a circulator. It is used actually in radar systems sometimes. Okay. So then the isolation between receiver and transmitter becomes an important component. Well, now again we are continuing with the. So here what we see, a lossless and reciprocal three-port network can be physically realized if only two of its ports are matched. Is it really true? Let's see. So we assume then the S parameters, it takes the form like this one. So what is our assumption now? We don't want that all the three ports are matched. At least two of them are matched. And we are not using any non-reciprocal device inside. So then S12 is S21, S13 is S31, and S23 is equal to S32. Only S33 term is remaining. Now let us again apply those conditions and let's see is it possible or not. So if I take multiplication of two columns with the complex conjugate of the second column, so from the first and second column, 0 into S12 star. So first and second we don't have any contribution, but here S13 star into S23 equal to 0. Now for the second and third S12 star into S13 plus we don't have here any contribution for this one. Then we consider it S23 star into S33 equal to 0. Well, while you are taking complex conjugate, then you have to put it on all the elements of a column. You can't change it. So what I mean that it can be S12 into S13 star plus S23 into S33 star. That way also you can write. Well, so the third relationship, it is between first column and third column. Now for individual column, S12 squared plus S13 squared, that should be equal to 1. Here for S12, 2, 3, and here now we have 3 terms. So as you can see here. Well, now let us analyze this relationship. Can we really implement it or not logically? Well, so here summation of two square term is equal to 1 and S12 remain common. So then S13 must be equal to S23. Right? From these first two relationships, what we get, S13 must be equal to S23. We are considering magnitude. Now, if I put this in the third equation, S13 is equal to S23. So here, then S33 becomes equal to 1. right? S33 becomes equal to 1. And in case S1323 equal to 0, then S12 is also equal to 1. Well, so let us then assume S1323 equal to 0. Then we have 1233 equal to 1. So you see then how it looks. We don't have any interaction from port 3 to other port, right? Because if I feed at port 1, then what is happening is 1 2 is 1. So the power is going to port 2. Whatever you are feeding, all power component going to port 2 only. Since we assume it's a reciprocal, so if you feed at port 2, all power component is coming to port 1. Now, what about 3 3? If I feed anything at port 3, nothing is coming inside the 3-port junction. All of this input power is reflected back, right? Well, so the network looks something like this. Well, again, you see it is of no use. So it is basically looking like a section of transmission line, and we are connecting port 1 and port 2. So it's looking like a 2-port network, and the port 3 is completely isolated. It has nothing to do with this. So it did not serve our purpose. So that means, you see, from power divider point of view, it is also having no importance or no significance. Okay, just let me share something. I said, okay, let me stop it first. Let me go back. So I said that I can monitor. You see, the problem means I could make you, all of you, as attendee, but then you can't switch on your microphone for asking a question. So that's why I did not make you. Now the problem is that one of you intentionally can unmute other, or simply discard him or her. And even it is true for me also. You can mute me. We have that power, and we have the full control. We can actually monitor you. Okay, so I am not taking the name. Just right now, one of you tried to mute me 2 times. I am noting down your name. She is a girl. On the that information I'm sharing. I'm not taking the name. Okay, and you also have a picture in your profile, so I can see it. Today I kept it on. So please be careful. So that means you are actually disturbing this whole community. You are interrupting me, and because of, you see, because of this reason, I can go for deregistration. So I'll just keep this record. I told you many times also. Anyway, let's go back. Well, so here we are considering a practical T-junction now. Sorry, can you see my slide? Hello? You can switch on your microphone, and one of you please answer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, just that mode actually unintentionally I kept. Let me switch on that mode so that I can monitor who is trying to mute me. I shared that information already with you. I'm not taking her name, but I noted it down. I said that I have full control over it. Okay, fine. So it's a T junction. Now, a T junction, it can be designed in microstrip line technology. It also can be designed in waveguide technology. Now, you might ask question, in the beginning, I said that I'm assuming that the guide itself it should support TEM. Then how come a waveguide I can use the same formulation for a waveguide? So we'll go back to that concept which we learned in network analysis, that we are considering only the terminal behavior at the port. So at the port we can define current and voltage, okay, not inside the structure. So using that concept, then I can use the same formulation, S parameters formulation, for waveguide as well. Well, now let's say the practical form, it looks like this. It is a E-plane waveguide T, and this is one H-plane waveguide T. So, okay, I'm coming to this point later. Let us first complete the analysis part. So then in transmission line form, we have one input feed point here, and the output feed points are here. Now, what we assume initially, that the characteristics impedance of the output ports are different, Z1 and Z2. Whereas for the feed port, input feed port, it is Z0. Now, whenever we design any junction, we discussed this point before, that it is one form of discontinuity. So discontinuity means exactly at the junction, it is either not TE10 mode for this one, or for microstrip line, it is not a perfect TEM mode. We have some additional undesired higher order modes. And what is the resultant effect of that? It will provide you some reactance. Okay, it depends on the implementation scheme. It can be capacitive, inductive. Sometimes we represent it by a T junction. Well, so in general, let us represent it by a shunt reactive element, JB susceptance. Okay, so then this JB represents the discontinuity effect for any practical junction. Well, now for simplicity, for the sake of simplicity, we can assume B is equal to 0 in the transmission line part. When we go for implementation, then we can use actually full wave simulator. So full wave simulator will take care of this, right? So if I assume B equal to 0, then simply two different microstrip line sections, they are connected to one single one at this junction. It looks like a T. Then what about Y in? At the output side, these two lines, they are in parallel. So 1 by Z0, that is equal to 1 by Z1 plus 1 by Z2. That relationship follows. Now, let's say if the input impedance is 50 ohm, and if I want equal power division, then what should be the impedances of Z1, Z2 from this relationship? Z0 is 50 ohm, and I want equal power division. Then Z1 should be equal to Z2. Then what should be the value of Z1 and Z2? One of you, can you switch on your microphone and tell me?
Sir, 100.
Yes. So if I take 200 ohm in parallel, input impedance automatically will become 50 ohm, right? And now let's say at the output ports also we need 50 ohm. It is connected to microwave system. In that case, what will we do? Then the input impedance becomes different. I can't use a 50 ohm transmission line as Z1 and Z2. Input impedance becomes 25 ohm. So in that case, we can use a quarter wave transformer to transform it back to 50 ohm again. So I can put a quarter wave transformer here at port Z1 and Z2. So in that case, what I want, so this side 50 ohm is connected. Okay, let's switch on. Here 50 ohm is connected. Here 50 ohm is connected. Now 50 ohm should be transformed to 100 ohm here. So one side my requirement is 100 ohm, another side 50 ohm. Then the characteristics impedance of the quarter wave transformer which we are using, it is equal to what? It is equal to square root of 50 multiplied by 100, right? And if you do that, then it's coming 70.71 ohm. And what should be the electrical length? It should be 90° at the design frequency. So because of this quarter wave transformer, then it becomes narrow band design. So only that is the problem. Okay, but you remember, it is a lossless network, and also it is a reciprocal network. Then what is the condition? We learned that it is impossible to design such a network which is matched at all the three ports. But just now I said we can use quarter wave transformer here. Then how come it is true? You see, I consider the direction of power flow. You try to understand this point. Conceptually, this is important. So I'm hitting from here. Now this power is divided into two parts. Here, here. Now I need to see 100 ohm, so that input impedance is 50 ohm. I don't have any gamma from this. And this power is delivered to port 2. All of this power. All of this power is delivered to port 2. Yeah, that can be done. But I never said that from this output port, if I look into this network, then the input impedance is 50 ohm. It now becomes different because one side you have 50 ohm and one side this is 100 ohm. It is 50 become parallel to 100 for this output port, right? So then it is matched from port 1 only. Magnitude of S11 is equal to 0. But magnitude of S22 and 33 is not equal to 0. Did you understand why? Or you ask me? I'll repeat this point. One of you, please. Yes.
Yeah, this I understood. Like, but you said something about that when you use a quarter wave transformer, you have some disadvantage. Like, what was that?
Yeah, quarter wave transformer, you are designing at some given frequency, no? So that relationship holds strictly at that frequency. So it won't be a wideband design. Okay, I'll be showing result. Don't worry. So for now you understood, then magnitude of S11 is 0, but not for S22 or S33. So to understand it in a better way, let us solve a numerical question. So you check here, you have to design a T-junction power divider. Source impedance is given 50 ohm. But it is not a equal power split scenario. You have to divide the power in a ratio 2:1. So 1/3 should be delivered to one of the ports and 2/3 in the remaining port. And then you check what is the reflection coefficient at different ports. So here they asked actually for the output ports. Anyway, so input power, how it is time average now? Let's say the junction voltage here, it is V0. Now then input power I can represent in terms of V0 and Z0. It is half V0 square by Z0. It is the RMS value, time average value. Then output power, what is required? At one side 1/3 of Pn, another side 2/3 of Pn. So then according to Z1 and Z2, in terms of Z1 and Z2, it is half V0 square by Z1, and for this port it is half V0 square by Z2. We are using this relationship now. So from this relation, then it becomes Z1 should be thrice of Z0 150 ohm and Z2 75 ohm. Now what is the input impedance? Looking from the input peak point, So at one port we have 75, another port 150. If we took parallel of them, it becomes 50 ohm. So input is matched. Whatever power you are feeding, it is accepting. But if anything comes back from port 2 or port 3, then what will happen? Let us consider for port 2. So then I represented it by gamma 1. Let us calculate gamma 1. So we'll be using Z in minus Z naught by Z in plus Z naught. Now what is Z in here? So you check from this port. Z in, one side you have Z naught 50 ohm and another side you have Z2 75 ohm. So basically, if you look from this side, the input impedance is Z0 parallel Z, right? So it is 50 parallel 75. It becomes 30 ohm. Similarly, if I do from port 2, then it is 150 parallel 50 ohm, 37.5. Well, now then what about gamma? You just use the formula Z in minus Z naught. So for port 2, then it is 150, 30 minus 150, and for port 2, it is 75. So you see then it is not 0. We have a finite value. And you know that the reflection phase angle, okay, it should be 0 or 180 degree. That depends on your Zn is more than Z0 or less than Z0. So did you understand any confusion till this point?
So gamma 1 and gamma 2 are the reflection coefficient looking into Z1, the ports with Z1 and Z2, right?
Yeah, from port function.
Okay, so
This type of network is very popular, particularly for antenna structure, antenna array. Then we assume that whatever power you are supplying to port 2 or port 3, that is being absorbed by the antenna. Okay, if there is some reflection from antenna port, then we have a problem because it will come back here. As you can see, it's not 0, right? But if you use some mass termination here, then it is not a problem. Power is only, it goes in one direction. So in those type of application, then you can use this. Next, resistive power divider. Well, so from the previous example, we have seen that it's not possible that lossless network and also reciprocal match from all the 3 ports. Let us introduce some loss by using some resistors. So the solution actually it is directly given. What we are doing, we are connecting some resistors in series. So in microstrip line, then how to implement it? Let's say you are taking one SMD resistor, and what you will be doing, then you cut microstrip line, and then you put the SMD and solder both sides. So that means this PowerPoint is creating problems sometimes. Okay, so what I said, let's say you have a microstrip line, this one, and you are cutting a gap here. Okay, this is a straight microstrip line. Now you put your SMD register here and solder pad down here and here. Then this register, it is in series. That's how you can implement this network. I'm showing just for one side. Well, so let us do this analysis. Then the impedance looking into Z0 by 3 from this port 1, Z in, what is this impedance? So here,
I think you not maximize the slide. Like it is still in the tiles. The tiles are all visible. You can't see the big slide.
sorry, you can't?
Yeah, you went back to tile mode, right? And then you have not maximized. Like the slide is not. All the slides are small.
No, oh, no, I did not go to that mode. Okay, anyway.
Okay, now it's back. All right.
It's some time delay is there basically. Well, so from this one, then we have this Z0 by 3. And if the input impedance it is 50 ohm, then it is coming in series Z0 by 3 plus Z0. It becomes 4 Z0 divided by 3. And the input impedance of the divider, then Z in here, this is Z0 by 3 plus, now we have two of them. You see here, Z0 by 3 plus port impedance 50 ohm. So the input impedance here it is 4 by 3 Z0. Now you have two of them in parallel, 4 by 3 Z0. So it becomes then twice Z0 by 3, and you have one more Z0 by 3. So Z in looking from here, port 1, then it is Z0 by 3 plus parallel combination of these two input impedances, which is 4 by 3 Z0. So then input impedance overall we see it is Z0. So input is matched. Now since input is matched and it's symmetrical, so from port 2, port 3, if you look into junction, always input impedance is 50 ohm. Z0, better to say Z0. So basically we could achieve then that it is matched at all the ports, or in other words, S11, S22, S33 all are 0. Okay, now let us calculate what is the power available at the output ports, or we can represent in terms of voltage also. Now let's say the voltage at port 1 is V1, here it is V1. Then voltage at the junction, okay, what is the value? Here it is Z0 by 3, and what is the impedance between these 2 points? That we calculated 2 by 3 Z0, right? So then it is V1 divided by Z0 plus 3 plus 2 by 3 Z0 into 2 by 3 Z0. Looks like a voltage divider. Well, so the voltage at the junction, then we can represent this is equal to 2 by 3 V1. So V1 you are feeding from port 1, but what is available at the junction, that is 2 by 3. Only 1 by 1/3 is lost here. Now what about V2 and V3? So we already have V calculated here. Now looking into port 2, you have Z0 by 3 in series with Z0. So it is looking like a voltage divider again, and you calculate what is the voltage across this Z0. So this is then V divided by this Z0 by 3 plus Z0 multiplied by this impedance Z0. That is the output voltage. So it is coming 3 by 4. If I put the value of V here, it is half of V1. So what we see, voltage becomes half. Same thing is true at port 3. So if voltage becomes half, what about the power? It is squared. So 1 by 4. 50% power is lost in the resistive network. Remaining 50%, it is divided equally. 25% of the feeding power available at port 2, another 25% at port 3. Then without doing any calculation, if I represent in terms of S parameter, so S21 and S31, that is equal to half. S parameters directly relates the voltage amplitude. Then the corresponding power, it becomes 1/4. Then if I convert it to dB scale, 1 by 2, it converts to the minus 6 dB. So you see, then it is 6 dB down at port 2 and port 3. Well, so Wilkinson power divider, I think we can't. So next day we'll be doing Wilkinson power divider. So here, since we have 50% power loss, it is not a good solution. Then we'll be modifying T network by introducing a single resistor in the next example, and we'll see here that there won't be any power loss inside the network. And even after that, we can achieve switching at all the 3 ports. But you see, we have to introduce one register. So it is not purely lossless network. But at the operating frequency, it won't absorb any power, this register. So that means the current flowing through the register, it becomes 0 at the operating frequency. But if you go to left or right side, then power decreases. Anyway, so we'll do it next day. So let us take a few questions now. So you can switch on your microphone and ask me question. So this is the problem. I can see your comment that slide small and other things. So if I switch on that mode to monitor you, who is trying to mute some other people, then a parallel program is running and we have a time lag. But today I caught the person. I'm noting it down. Well, so this Saturday, you remember that we have a test and the syllabus I already announced. We'll be having 2 parts, conceptual part and the numerical part. In the conceptual part also, you may have a few small numerical questions, concept based. And for the conceptual part, it is resonator and the network analysis. And for the numerical part, part 2, it is related to assignment, whatever we did in last week. And in addition to that, let me announce one more test. Last year also we discussed that next Wednesday, 21st, we will be having a class test that is for lab. So all of you will be appearing for the same class test. And the syllabus is the simulation part only, till antenna. So again, we'll be having some question from HFSS. So basically about the steps, and if you go through HFSS manual, you should be able to answer the question. So you learn about different boundaries, what are their utilization, and what about meshing, how to do it, what are the popular terms related to meshing, which you should learn for proper simulation, and about the output parameters. For example, in your class, I said that HFSS, they have defined different gain values for antennas, realized gain, then simply gain, then gain in unit of dBi, dBc, what are the meaning of these? Okay, so you learn about that. So Wednesday, then we'll be having a test on this. And in the part 2, it is basically the theoretical part about the design. Any question related to your test or related to this today's topic? Anything?